Thank you for tuning in with us for this January edition of The Scoop. My name's Kylie Moore.
And I'm Chandler Burke.
Today we'll be talking about a variety of topics, but to start, we're going to talk about Black History Month.
Black History Month is a time where we can reflect on the words of people such as Martin Luther King Jr. and embrace our peers no matter what gender, sexuality, or race. Let's take a look at our local connection to Black History Month.
As January comes to an end today, February arrives. February is well known as Black History Month, allowing people of color to celebrate their heritage and feel safe now that freedom has been allowed. New Albany, Indiana is one of the many places in the world that holds this history.
The Underground Railroad means a lot to the history of southern Indiana, especially New Albany. There's a church in New Albany down on Main Street, which is today the Second Baptist Church. Well, back around the Civil War era, it was a Second Presbyterian Church, and it was actually an active part of the Underground Railroad. And I think it's really cool because stories are that it had, a big tower and a big steeple and a big clock on it. And some of the, old stories tell us that when slaves were across the river in the Kentucky side, the Louisville side, which of course was slave territory, when they saw that tower sticking up in the sky, that it gave them hope because they knew that they were close to freedom, and all they had to do was get across the river. So the church actively, and a lot of members in New Albany actively helped out with the Underground Railroad. A lot of the even rich business owners, there's stories of some of the business owners allowing the Underground Railroad and escaping slaves to use their trains, hop on their trains that they were using to transport their goods, and just assisting them any way they could. And of course, there are also rumors that there's a large underground network of tunnels under New Albany, and rumors that some of those were actually used for the Underground Railroad. So literal, a literal underground kind of system. So it's very important to the history of New Albany.
The New Albany Underground Railroad was to allow those from Kentucky to come over to freedom. One of the many people to help people over was Oswald Wright. He was a free black man and wanted to help others get free. While working on the railroad, he eventually was caught and enslaved in Kentucky once more. He worked in Cordon beforehand, but before being captured, he helped save hundreds of people. The Underground Railroad in New Albany was an essential part of getting to freedom during the 1800s. The New Albany Underground Railroad Gardens is a place for people to go and pay their respects for those who fell on their way to the railroad, or to those who passed before they had even had the option to. This month is for celebration and mourning, allowing people to be comfortable in themselves and their heritage.
Alongside us today, we have Miss Wise and Calvin Brown. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Good to be here.
As you guys know, February is Black History Month, and being the only teacher of color, and then on the flip side, being in a school where it's 93% white, how does that affect your day-to-day life?
At first, I was just happy to have the job, and I didn't really think about being the only staff member of color, but as time wore on, I did realize the things that came with fulfilling that role. And it did stress me out at first, but now it's more of a badge of pride that I wear. And I also like the fact that it allows me to connect with our minority students on a different level.
That's awesome.
So for me, being in a predominantly white school, like you wake up every day and you think, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be like myself. I'm gonna act how I always act. But at the same time, there's like you hear people talk, you hear the stereotypes. So you, in the back of your mind, you always know you don't want to confirm any stereotypes for anybody because everybody's their own person. And,
Yeah, for sure.
Must be difficult.
Yeah, we can see in our local area that we have a rich African American history with the Underground Railroad through New Albany. But why is it important for us to celebrate Black History Month?
I think it's really important because, a lot of the time when you talk about history and being an African American, it always comes with a negative connotation or something. But so it's good to take time to appreciate where you come from and celebrate your culture.
Remembering the positives is so important in something like this because like Calvin said, we often draw attention to the negatives. And while remembering the struggle is important, I think it is even more important to highlight those that have succeeded despite the struggles that come with being an African American in a community like this one.
And inspire us to continue the successes.
So recently in a news report, there was a reporter who said a racial slur. And so I know that brought a lot of outcasts and stuff. And so what do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about that and how that plays a role in society today?
Calvin and I were actually talking about this earlier. I feel a lot of people are. I have a very strong opinion about it. I don't like the history that is behind that particular word, and I feel like if we are going to move forward, then things like that word need to be left behind. However, he had a really good point.
Yeah, I was saying that the N-word is what we're talking about. It's a word that the black community feels like they've kind of taken the power back from the negative connotations that came with it. But at the same time, if you don't want anyone to use it, like you can't tell somebody what not to say, it's not going to work. So, but if you want no one to use it, you have to stop using it yourself too. That's what she said, basically.
So what changes do you guys hope to see in the future?
I would like to see people pay more attention to the things that we can do to propel us forward. For example, we have the Diversity Advisory Council here at school, and recently it was brought to the council's attention that Freedom Land Cemetery exists right in our backyard, essentially. It's up in the hills of Paoli Pike, and it is a African-American cemetery that was established in the 1850s and has since been completely forgotten and abandoned. And there have been people, some of our own students, who have taken it upon themselves to revamp and clean up the gravestones and to bring attention to the history that's, like I said, in our own backyard. So I think paying attention to what we have in our own local community would be a great place to start. And that extends beyond the month that is dedicated to that history. We need to think about it all the time.
And, they are actually taking like volunteers to come and help clean it up. I'll be doing that this spring. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And well, really a change I want to see is just having an open dialogue about our culture and where we come from.
Absolutely.
Something, being honest, being open to like, if you say something that someone might find offensive, being open to talk about it and not immediately get defensive or anything about it.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't think that conversation happens enough nowadays. So.
Yes, creating that space where it's safe to have that conversation, to ask those questions, to understand both sides. That's a good place to start as well.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much for joining us today. And I think it's really good that we have this sort of platform where we can talk about these issues and just create a better, happier world.
Absolutely.
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
No problem.
You.
Speaking of changes, our next topic has to do with New Year's resolutions. Students and teachers throughout the building have been proposing their goals for the year.
With those goals already in progress, we took a look into those getting fit as a resolution.
Let's see how
As
some
we were about
students are
1
doing
month
so
into
far
the
on
new
our
year, we look back at the resolutions we set. Some of us have already forgot what they were, but for most people, it was to start exercising. Now, most resolutions are broke within the first week of the new year. We talked to Floyd Central's conditioning and weightlifting coach Donnie Gumble to see what tips he could give us on how to stay consistent.
Exercise is important for everybody because it promotes not only a healthy lifestyle, but it helps with the mental aspect of your daily life. I think it's awesome starting the new year, those that have New Year's resolutions or goals to improve their habits, whether it be nutrition or improving something that revolves health and fitness. Set goals, but setting goals is a lot of times not enough because it's easy to fall off the wagon if you just have a goal without a plan. So having a plan to achieve that goal is going to be big time.
Next, we talked to Floyd Central's trainer, Becky Clifton, on how to stay injury-free as we start to exercise.
So in the beginning of working out, you need to ease into it and go slowly so that you don't get yourself too sore too soon. Kind of easing into it because a lot of people go gung-ho all at once. They get sore, it kind of turns them off, and then they don't do it. So the best thing to do is maybe try a couple of different things and find what you like.
Grace Allen to talk more about this topic. How are you doing today, Grace?
I'm great, thanks for having me.
So what sparked your interest in remaining fit and exercising?
So I've pretty much worked out my entire life. I grew up a swimmer, so I've been swimming for 13 years now, and I couldn't imagine my life without working out.
Wow, that's a long time.
What's the best way for people wanting to start working out to start working out?
I think to start with what you know and what you're good at as of right now. So if you're good at running, start with running, and then you can build off of that. So then you can maybe go to swimming, which is also a cardio, and then you can add on to those things.
So consistency is kind of key. So like, what tips do you think has helped you stay consistent?
I think having a workout plan going into a day is a very nice plan. It'll help you stay focused throughout the day, and if you're feeling good after the workout, you could even add more to it, or you could do more reps, you could repeat, or if you're feeling bad in the middle of a workout, you could do some stretching. You know, you can improvise as you go along.
What is your favorite workout to do?
Well, since I swim, my favorite workout to do is mixing up the strokes a lot. I'm an IMer, which means I do every single stroke. So I do a lot of butterfly, back, breast, and free. I don't like to stick to one stroke individually. I want to switch it up throughout my practice and make sure I'm getting all the strokes in.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're exercising, what helps you stay focused and just like focus on the goal, I guess?
My teammates and my coaches really help that. I think my coaches are awesome. They really push us to stay on track and to hit those intervals really well. And my teammates also really push us. If we're doing the same thing, we'll sprint or race against each other during the practice to make sure that we're staying on track all of practice.
So do you work out every day?
Yeah, we work out 6 days a week, including Saturdays, and then we're here in the mornings twice a week. And that's 2.5 hours after school and then 3 hours on a Saturday.
Wow. I know the mental game is a huge part of that. And I think the benefit of working out is definitely improved mental health in certain ways. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think my freshman year, getting into all of the swimming aspect of it, it was very new and very different. I had to adjust to being so busy all the time. And then my sophomore year, I was really taking it hard because I had a lot of hard classes, and balancing swim and school and a social life was so hard for me. Junior year, I really started to get the hang of it, and then senior year, I really just embraced just like this whole swim team aspect that I have and getting to balance all those things. I'm really lucky to get to enjoy all of these things at once.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today
Thank you so
and
much
giving
for
us your
having
input
me.
on that. Just remember, it doesn't have to be January for you to start something new.
Yeah, the student body here at Floyd Central has talked a lot about the upcoming winter ball. With the dance getting closer, I took a look into the updates about the dance. As you may know, FC is hosting a winter ball this February. This dance was previously called Homecoming. We talked to sophomore class president Levi Harrington to give us a little insight on the name change.
We changed the name of Homecoming to Winter Ball because of the timing of Homecoming. It was rough with having the Homecoming basketball game being weeks before what is the Winter Ball now, and it just kind of threw timing things off. So it was weird to have Homecoming, and if we wanted to bring Homecoming court back, that created a problem.
No matter what the name of the dance is, the staff and students are positive that the dance will give students a bit of a break from the classroom and be able to bring a really good time.
The dance will include lots of food and drinks, and there will be activities like a photo booth as well as a rave at the end of the night.
There are a lot of other schools who participate in a variety of formal dances like this one. We talked to teacher Mrs. Goman on what some of the dances were like at her high school growing up.
At my high school, the homecoming dance was the weekend of the football game. And so we had a homecoming king and queen that were crowned at the event, and then the next day we came back. It was held at the school in the school cafeteria. We had a DJ. It was fancy, everybody still dressed up, but it was held at the school. The turnabout dance was one where it was like a Sadie Hawkins, where the female or the other person, the other in the relationship was to ask the person out to the dance. And then the last one was your traditional formal prom.
It's common for schools to typically hold these formal dances at fancy venues in the area, but when it comes to this dance, the committee wanted to shake things up a bit.
The dance will be located in the rotunda because nobody's ever done anything in the rotunda as far as dance-wise, so we thought it'd be really cool to mix things up a little bit and just try it in the rotunda.
This area may look empty now, but in less than a month, this place is going to be packed with Floyd Central student body dancing and eating and just getting rid of all of the stress that students may encounter during a normal school day.
Dances are meant for you to have a good time and relax with your friends. It should be a stress-free zone, so we checked back in with Mrs. Goman to see what type of dance moves that she would break down if she was the one on the dance floor.
So would I do that sprinkler thing? No, I couldn't do that. My kids would be embarrassed. Or do the running man thing, try to do that. Or I would probably just do one of these, shake and bake.
The Winter Ball dance will be held on February 15th from 8 to 11 p.m. in the main spine and rotunda. The cost of tickets is $10 and the dress is semi-formal. Students are highly encouraged not to dress all out like prom. The FC Winter Ball Committee hopes to see you there.
So it looks like students need to prepare their attire soon, but just remember it's formal, so don't go all out like prom.
Exactly. Tickets are $10 and students are allowed one guest from another school with approval. The Winter Ball is still on February 15th, so be sure to join in on the fun from 8 to 11 p.m.
With February approaching fast, there's still a lot more in store here for faculty and students at Floyd Central, so be sure to stay tuned. I'm Chandler Burke.
And I'm Kylie Moore. This has been an FCTV production. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.